Welcome to the Double D podcast.
Hello there.
Hosted by two retards from Jersey. Taylor Ham.
Yeah. I could do this, actually. I could put, and then I could face this one. Oh, now my mic is in the way. See, it's like new desk and new desk placements and, like, everything's fucked up now. I hate it. Whatever.
Calm down, David.
Alright, I'll relax.
There is some news today.
Is there? Is there news? Is there news, really? I'm gonna pretend there isn't news.
Oh,
we're just gonna sit here.
So we're just gonna ignore.
We're gonna talk about
the 2 days of messages you've told me about the thing you wanted to talk about. So you're just gonna completely ignore that, huh?
What are you talking about? I've just been sending you porn.
Oh yeah, by the way, guys, you can send porn through Discord now. So.
Apparently, yeah, because I wanted to test that. Apparently, Discord has some sort of, like, algorithm for that, where, like, it doesn't let you send, like, you know, lewd stuff, like, through private messages, which makes sense, actually, because that stops people from sending inappropriate things to people they shouldn't be fucking sending them to.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently Discord just said fuck all, and I just tested it. I sent, like, GIFs of...
We don't have no confirmation on that. David, basically, essentially what he did was send me Hitomi Tanaka porn through Discord. It was GIFs. And somehow, it just, like, SEAL Team 6, like, through Discord's, I guess, their algorithm, and just basically said... You can pass. And, yeah, I got assaulted with some quite large memories from the great Tanaka herself.
And you know that the titty algorithm is insanely broken when it can't detect those. It just let me send them, like, out of nowhere. I'm like, what the fuck happened here? I swear to God, like, I downloaded them off of Reddit, right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it's like, it might have been like a movie file or something off of Reddit, but when you download it on your phone, it downloads it like a GIF.
Mm-hmm.
And before I say anything else, yeah, don't judge me. And, yeah, so I just wanted to see if that would work, because I just literally wanted to catch Dennis off guard, because, real talk, who else am I going to send porn to? I don't think I have anyone else in my life that I can send that to with absolutely zero judgments, no remorse under any circumstances, and that I can deliberately distract him from his work at his home office by sending him Hitomi Tanaka GIFs. Which, if you don't know who Hitomi Tanaka is, just Google her and you'll immediately see why, you know, it's might be a little problematic.
It's very not suited for work, if you know what I mean.
Very not suited for work, actually. I remember you were telling me once that she should fucking do something with Angela White, and she did. She literally did. Like, she came out of retirement and, like, made, like, a fucking porno with her for her OnlyFans.
Well, David.
Yeah.
As you know.
What do I know?
I am not subscribed to nobody on OnlyFans.
Oh, me neither. Dude, me neither. I downloaded that shit off Reddit too, dude. Are you kidding?
For
Fuck
free!
That.
I did that shit for free!
For free!
For free! Honestly, guys, if you are paying for porn still in this year of 2023, you're a bunch of fucking idiots. But, aside from that, we have some somber news today.
No, let's keep talking about porn. It's funny and it's enlightening and
porn gets old real quick, bro.
No, it's the greatest, and there's no bad side effects from watching
Charles
too much porn.
Martinet
it's totally
has
not like
retired
the
from being the voice of Mario. I'm talking over David. Great Charles Martinet has passed away. No. The great Charles Martinet.
Don't you fucking joke about that.
The great Charles Martinet has transcended beyond this mortal plane and has become now a god of the universe that is Universe 7.
Right, that's better.
And he is now, quite arguably, the most strongest being in the universe. And can use all 7 Dragon Balls to go over and slap you across the face while screaming Wahoo.
I was only talking about the porn thing, not only because it was funny, it's because I wanted to put off talking about this a little. The term GOAT the greatest of all time as an acronym gets thrown around way too fucking much. I come from the Smash community,
too, I feel.
and on Twitter they circle jerk each other so hard, like my goat for this, for like I don't know, like putting their fucking bread in the toaster in the morning. Yo, my fucking goat. Like nothing special happening. This is a true, genuine greatest of all time. Like without any exaggeration. He has been the voice of Mario for 32 fucking years.
Oh, wait, hold on. Before we go any further, like, provide some context as far as, like, this whole, change.
Yeah, if you don't know who Charles Martinet is, this is the topic we're going to be talking about for a while. It's my topic of the episode, at least. I don't know what Dennis has. We'll cross those bridges when we come to them. Charles Martinet is the voice of Super Mario. My, icon. One of my favorite characters in anything ever of all time.
Also known as Mario Mario.
I believe that was debunked, actually. I'm not completely sure. But yeah, he has been the voice of Mario since Mario had a voice in video games, really.
1999, basically. Six.
Yeah. Mario 64 came out in 96.
That was 64 was 96? Oh,
Mario
shit.
64 came out literally
I thought that was 90. I thought that was... No. I thought that was 99. Oh, fuck.
Mario 64 came out literally a month after I was born. And,
To the day? Like, literally a month, like 30 days?
Almost, but not exactly. I don't remember the exact date.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, I know, like, things in my life come full circle like that. Charles Martinet has been voicing the character since then, and Nintendo of America made an announcement on Twitter yesterday for denizens of the Mushroom Kingdom. I guess I'll just read it out loud. Charles Martinet has been the original voice of Mario in Nintendo games for a long time, as far back as Super Mario 64. Charles is now moving into the brand new role of Mario Ambassador. With this transition, he will be stepping back from recording character voices for our games, but he'll continue to travel the world sharing the joy of Mario and interacting with you all. It has been an honor working with Charles to help bring Mario to life for so many years, and we want to thank and celebrate him. Please keep an eye out for a special video message from Shigeru Miyamoto and Charles himself, which we will post at a future date. And for me, it's just... life just comes at you fast. You know, we all knew this day was coming. Some people sooner than others. I don't know if you saw that old Arlo video or some other videos. When the Super Mario Bros. Wonder trailer came out, Dennis, a lot of YouTubers made little videos analyzing some of the clips and stuff, listening to Mario's voice, and noticing it sounded a little off. And...
meaning they got an understudy, huh?
If you could get some powder and put it on my brand new white standing desk so I couldn't even see the powder, and it was just labeled in a tiny little baggie that you got from the sus-ass dealer from behind the fucking Denny's. Like, and the bag was just labeled Hopium. That is what I was snorting that day when all those people were saying that. I was like, no, it's Charles. He's just getting old. You know, the voice doesn't sound the same. He can't hit those high, you know, audio registers anymore. It's a little difficult for him to keep that energy. Nope. No, it's literally confirmed that it was not him now. And, like, Nintendo actually told sources like IGN and all the gaming people and whatnot. He's officially stepped down from the role. I woke up to that news the other day, and I literally messaged Dennis, as well as posted on Twitter for nobody to hit me up.
And you know, you want to know something even funnier? I really didn't. Like, I really didn't hit him up. I thought at first, I was kind of concerned, because, like, usually when people say, like, just straight up, like, don't talk to me or don't hit me up, I just leave it to them. Like, that's just my default response, really, when I hear shit like that. So, like, I figured, like, okay, I'll just give him his space, and, like, I guess just wait till tomorrow. And then the next day, I was just like, can I hit you up now?
Said, I guess.
Pretty much a dickhead move. But I actually wanted to ask you, like,
yes.
I'm going to interview you because you're clearly a representative of the great Martinet. I wanted to ask,
hey, seasonally.
Seasonally,
yes.
True. So have they revealed, first off, basically who is the new voice?
Nope.
Not even on, like, not at all. Like, they didn't even disclose it at all.
Nope.
I guess we'll just have to wait until like the game releases, and then we'll just see who it is in the credits.
Yeah.
And
unless it's on IMDb or something, do they do that for video games?
It could be, but
Let's find
I
out.
figured it is only mostly for TV shows and movies.
And I feel like if they did even do that on here already, I probably would have heard about it.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's it's this guy, it's him. It's Martinet's son. Like
that would be. Oh wait, hold up. Super Mario Brothers Wonder. Oh shit. Oh my god, Nintendo's control over this universe is uncanny.
Oh, there's nobody.
It's got Bowser's, it's got Peach's, it's got Daisy's.
But no Mario.
No, it does not have Mario's or Luigi's listed.
Wonder why? Why do you think that is?
Shit. Well, because I don't know, they're probably gonna announce it in that upcoming video that they were talking about, you know, where...
I thought that video was just gonna be mostly about, or at least it's gonna be mainly Miyamoto and, like Martinet, like, and I guess Martinet just kind of saying like, not like a last few words or whatever, but like it's not really farewell. He's just moving on to like a different role within the company now.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, unless this guy like is like that important. I mean, I have a very strong feeling like first couple days he may get hated, not by you, but like I feel
of course.
Like yeah, everyone's just gonna be like, what the fuck is this guy? Huh? Who's this fucking twinkling thing voicing Mario?
Hashtag not my Mario.
And like, you know,
it's gonna happen.
I know, yeah.
It's
and like,
gonna fucking happen.
I almost feel kind of bad for the guy because like, I mean, you know, he'll get over it. Like he'll clearly get over it.
We're gonna get used to it.
Yeah,
it's gonna happen. We're gonna get used to it pretty fast. A lot of people couldn't even tell the fucking difference. I couldn't.
Except for the few detectives out there in YouTube who like, you know, was just like, this doesn't sound exactly like Martinet.
I heard it even before, like, people were being like, oh, that's not Martinet. And I was huffing hopium. Or like I was snorting hopium. But even if I wasn't snorting hopium, I was like, I didn't think about it too hard. I'm like, he sounds a little different, but I thought it was just like new voice lines from Martinet. So like, if, you know, clearly, you know, we didn't know any better now. I mean, how much of a difference is it going to make now that we know it's not Charles anymore? You know what I mean? So I feel like that's really not the end of the world. It's just...
it's just sad, ain't it?
Yeah, it just is, because like, I can't really put into words the impact that Mario 64 had on my young mind. You know, that game is what taught me that I was a creative. It helped shape my life and realize the things I wanted to do as an adult and the way that I could eventually give back to the world, and more than anything else, like what the human imagination is capable of. It is one of, if not the most important video game ever made. Actually, not the most important, but it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
And it's just a model for so many games in the future and stuff like that. Like, it's so creative. And colorful. Like, again, it just blew my mind as a kid. The way that people older than me in the generations before us, Dennis, have told me, like classic game collectors and stuff have told me, that they felt about Super Mario Brothers 3. And Charles is what drove that to life. You know, for all the people who say, like, you know, voice acting is easy and stuff like that, you know, like, he's a big reason why that happened. Have you heard Mario's old voice? Like, the beta voice that they had for him in that game? A lot of it was, like, I believe it was, like, toned up or, like, high-pitched clips of Michael Jackson or something like that they made him sound like. Like, it was terrible. Have you ever heard the beta Mario voice?
I may have, like, probably once or twice, but, like, it probably just, like, kind of left my brain.
He sounded like a fucking rat. Like
Toad.
that was the sound. Yeah, like kind of like a little toadish.
But they were like, I bet like Miyamoto's like, that voice is funny. We should give him that voice to something else. And then he like just saw like that stupid, like, they didn't even have a name for Toad yet. It's just like, that mushroom man. Let's give it to him.
Honestly, he sounded like a cracked out version of Toad, and let me tell you, people would have gotten tired of that fast. Parents would have hated that for sure. I'll tell you that much. They would have stopped buying their kids games for that. And I don't think people realize how important it is that, you know, like the way he decided to play the character really helped shape him into the way that he is. Mario, I firmly believe, he would have been successful still, but not nearly as much if it wasn't for the way that Charles decided to portray the characters. You know, audio design is everything when it comes to, you know, world building and immersion and stuff like that. It's
even
way
just
more
having,
important.
Like, having a great voice actor. Like, not, like, okay, not that the guy or the or the girl has, or like the woman has to be like fucking just talent up like out the ass and everything. This was more so like getting that right, like getting the right voice actor is insanely important. And I mean, I'm not like saying this as if like, okay, like I've ever been in the business or whatever, but like, you know, I think that is like just something that a lot of people could agree on, because God forbid, like not even talking about Mario now, like what if we had like a Link that talk like this? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, a change is one thing. We'll all get used to it. Nobody, likes change. It happens. But, I do think in the vein of what you just said, Dennis, it is kind of important to realize that, first of all, Charles Martinet is not the original voice of the character.
Oh, I did not know this.
No, he's not.
So who was the original?
Oh, my boy. Don't you remember, Luigi?
Oh!
The Super Mario Brothers Super Show.
Oh, boy.
We get fucking Captain Lou Albano. My friends, may he rest in peace. I gotta tell you, whatever casting director decided a professional wrestler should play Super Mario, fucking genius.
I really wish he would have been voiced by Macho Man.
Oh, Macho.
Ooh, coming at you there, Luigi. We are the cream of the crop.
And the Koopas are not the cream.
Oh, yeah.
And Danny Osmond, yeah, God rest them both, but they're not the original voice actors of the character, right? And Arlo is a YouTuber I watch for a lot of these kinds of things, and if there's anything I'm going to take from his video about it, which he titled, "Thanks for the Wahoos, Charles," it was towards the end, where he was talking about, Charles and how he decided to play the character.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to reiterate this again for people who, think voice acting is easy. All the fucks who say voice acting is easy, it's just reading a fucking, script in front of you, which, if that's all it is, I don't know why you don't do it. If it's really that easy and you get that much money, whatever. I don't think people realize how important Charles is to fucking, Mario's success, as well as, how he's impacted the hearts and minds of so many young and old people alike. And I know you feel like you do. People feel like they do, but I don't think a lot of people even realize that. And the reason I'm saying that is, look at Mario. He's a tiny little Italian man. Made by Japanese people.
Little racist.
Kind of looks like a Mexican. They really perpetuated a lot of stereotypes in him.
I mean, yeah, that was just like the decade in which we were living. Like everyone, like it was kind of safe. But now, like, if someone even ever tried to like make a character off of a stereotype, they'd be labeled a racist and a bigot and be canceled like, immediately.
If anything, though, Mario kind of defies stereotypes, because the stereotypes of Italians, when you see them in the mobster media, is that they're hateful, dirty, fucking, money grubbing, whore fucking, cheating on their wives, killing people, mobsters, right? Not happy people.
Mm-hmm.
And Mario is supposed to be the absolute, like, symbolic pinnacle of joy. So in that way, he's kind of the opposite of that, but, anyway, I'm getting off track here.
Yeah,
the reason Mario, you could have taken Mario and done what Lou Albano did. They're like, that's right, Luigi. Today's mail day. We're gonna open up some fan mail today. I gotta be honest, Luigi, that's kind of fucking weird. Have you ever seen that video, by the way? I sent you that. I sent you that video when they're doing, like, mail day. Yeah, you saw that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, dear Luigi, how does it feel to be the inferior Mario brother from Toad? That made me laugh so hard. The fact that it was from Toad. Well, Toad, sometimes I put on his clothes. Let's see what it's like. Live out my fantasies, I guess.
There was another clip. I obviously don't know which episode it was from, but I found this out from actually an Oni Plays playthrough that I was watching a while back.
Yeah.
And they were talking about like this one episode where like I think it was like Luigi basically telling Mario, it's like, oh no, I think it was, oh yeah, it was like Luigi's like pointing out like, it's like, you got spaghetti on your overalls. And then Mario, like, you literally hear him almost, I don't know, like, it's probably not, but like the way that, I don't know, they mix the audio or something, it straight up sounds like Mario saying, oh, fuck you, Luigi.
Dude, that show's production quality. I don't know if you noticed, in the intro of that show, like when they're doing the green screen, like they're running as if they're like running in the video game, Danny Osmond doesn't make it off camera before he turns to the camera thinking the cut is over, and they fucking left it in. They just left it in. They didn't fucking change it, and it's in the beginning of every episode of that motherfucking show. It's like, are we done yet? Are we done with this shit here?
Everyone in the crew's like, fucking hell, we're on like the 33rd take and he just fucked it up again.
Like, just wait till you're fucking off the goddamn camera, Danny.
And eventually, like, the director just goes up to the editors like, bro, just use it. It's like, what? Just fucking use it. Like, I'm so fucking done. Just use it. I don't give a shit anymore. And they just stuck with that for the rest of the show until they got canceled.
You great piece of shit.
Well, fuck you, Luigi.
Remember that fucking SMG4 video? Oh, my ass! This is our show, and you guys are ruining it. Oh, you guys are dead meat.
You know, it's so odd too. Like, at least going back to like Martinet real quick, right?
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
Like a lot of also like characters we've had over the years, like obviously have had their voices change. Main one being like Sonic, and I think. I mean, maybe Sonic is not as high in stature anymore compared to Mario, at least now in nowadays, like, kind of standard. I mean, I don't know how that came out so fucking wrong, but, like, at least nowadays, everyone still knows Mario, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately for Sonic, he has been the butt of every Sonic OC / furry joke for the last, like, fucking I don't know how many years, and it wasn't until, obviously, recently with Frontiers that he's actually gotten a lot more respect now. And people slowly but surely are starting to think, Sonic is cool. Or at least a lot of, like, you know, at least I like to think a lot of kids that were my age, that are my age, or like when a lot of kids now don't really kind of like look at Sonic as the same way that me and David did, let's say, when we were kids and like games like Adventure 2 were out and we had Crush 40 and all that crazy like fucking just butt rock shit that we all like just still unironically listen to. But in Sonic's voice, going at least back to his voice actors, don't know all of them, but I think, you know, we all know that obviously his voice actor has changed like many times over the years, just because like they always wanted to keep it consistent as like the cool, I'm Sonic, like, you know, kind of voice, and
way past cool,
cool, like
hey,
yeah, you're too slow, like, you know, just all of that.
Yeah.
And it's, I think, you know, and because of like that, like, you know, we never really like cried any tears of sadness whenever Sonic's voice ever changed, like, over the years. And like, you know, it just kind of goes to show you that, like, first of all, Mario is the Mickey Mouse of the video game, like, world and history, really. He is the Mickey Mouse of that entire, like, industry. And I think it also just stands as a testament to, like, the like, for me, like, obviously, like, I know who Martinet is, like, I don't really have like that much of a like deep attachment to him, such as like David does, but I can't obviously like deny the impact of like his work like as the character for at least like up to this point, like before he decided like, okay, he's gonna step down. And I think it even just again is a testament to like going back to that, it's a testament to like how Nintendo truly is very, very, very good at creating a character who barely says 10 words, let alone 2 sometimes, has nothing but like just a lot of like exclamations for the most part. and is still arguably like the most beloved character in this entire industry. Even fuckers who made like Halo and even any game dev you could ask, like they know who the fuck Mario is. They've all played a Mario game, and even just kind of going on to like to the consumer side of things, like for anyone who's even picked up a video game, you know who the fuck Mario is.
Highest grossing animated movie of all time.
Yep.
You know, internationally as well. Like, he's such a beloved character, which is why Nintendo felt like they had to make a press release about this.
It was a big deal. It goes without saying. Yeah.
While Sonic the Hedgehog can change voice actors a million times, and you know, it's got like that Wayne Knight meme where they're sitting at the beach and like they're yelling at it like over the past people like, hey, they changed Sonic's voice actor again. See, nobody cares. you remember that meme?
Yeah,
like when
yeah.
they turn. It's same
I still
shit.
love that scene unironically. It's like Dotson,
Oh yeah,
fucking Dotson here. See, nobody cares.
yeah. And it's funny, you know, we've sort of grown with Sonic as well, because Roger Craig Smith sounds way more like adulty as opposed to like the old Sonic. Like Sonic, like with Jason Griffith, sounded way younger. He was the way past cool Sonic. Roger Craig Smith is not the way past cool Sonic. He's like the more mature Sonic, like the overarching Sonic, like the more slightly more serious one with Frontiers and whatnot, and like the Sonic that, you know, is like more of a watchful eye than he was before.
Yeah.
Like way less about being cool and way more about being the hero that he is, I suppose. So that's why, you know, it's interesting when they do all those crazy rebrands, but with Nintendo, he's such a beloved character, like Dennis mentioned, you need to have a fucking press release because they changed his voice actor. Granted, this is a little different though. Charles has been voicing the character, again, for 32 years.
Consistently, mind you. This is like, has been his main job for 30-something years.
How often does, like, you know, an actor play one character for that long? And one that's consistently releasing media on top of it. It's not like, you know, Mario's just taking, like, gigantic breaks or anything like that. Mario just he's got spin-offs, he's got the toys.
He got a movie now?
He's got a movie now, which Charles was in. It's an interesting part of his swan song as well, by the way, that they had him play Mario's father, you know, at the end. And his last line recorded in that movie were, "These are my boys."
Oh,
it's like they knew. It's like they probably maybe he discussed it with them beforehand. Like I'm getting there. Like I don't think I can really do this anymore. I don't want to do this, and it was just
that's what I'm thinking
fitting.
too. Yeah, as
well as Giuseppe, who's supposed to be like the stereotypical Mario. You remember like the guy they talked to at the arcade at the beginning?
Oh yeah.
It's like it's a perfect. Like they're talking to that dude, like, because they had to have like Mario's traditional voice in it, of course. So it's going to be an interesting change, but like change is the law of life. That's what JFK said, and I think that's an important one to remember, you know, so I'm fine with that, but what I want to also mention here, before we got caught up in the Sonic stuff and, like, doing the dumb impressions and shit, would, again, you know, correlate back to those impressions. I don't think people realize how impactful Charles is. They say it, they express it on social media, like, he's been with me since I was a kid, blah, blah, blah. Not that your thoughts and feelings aren't valid, they are, but the thing with Charles is that he is like the pinnacle, really, of what makes a great voice actor. And again, a lot of dumb fucks who are ignorant about voice acting things. Oh, he just shows up, he said, "Oh, wahoo! See, I could do this shit." Blah, blah, blah. You know, the reason it's more impactful with Charles is because, again, look at Mario. He's a tiny Italian man. You know, you could look at that character, and if you are other actors in the industry, before Charles even voiced the character, before video games had voice functionalities, or voice actors, period, in that kind of way, you could be Captain Lou Albano, look at this Italian character, and make him sound like this, Luigi? Fitting. It's fitting for the character. That's what a lot of people, myself included, kind of wanted him to sound like in the movie before Chris Pratt had his portrayal and made everybody shut the fuck up. But Charles looked at Mario and he saw something different. You know, he was told this character needs to represent joy, I feel, or just saw it in his eyes when he voiced the character, and gave us something weird. Gave us something out of nowhere. Like, let's make him like high pitched, you know, seeming a wahoo, a wee, like that. That was what rang in his head, and what he worked on to create this character from the ground up. If they decided to go with, like, another traditional actor who had sort of, no disrespect, but an uninspired take, looking at Mario being like, oh, he's Italian? Okay, done. Hey,
Gabagool,
Gabagool, Mama Bear, fuck you, Luigi. Like, Dennis, do you think that lasts 35 years?
No.
No.
You didn't even have to ask the question. Like, it's just off, like, right off the bat.
Yep.
No.
Yep. There you go. Charles saw something different in it. You remember when we were talking, very ironically, you know, like going full circle for the podcast, when we were talking about the Mario movie before it came out, when this Pratt got casted, and everyone was like, oh dear God, this is the end of the character. And none
People
of us were really
saying that?
Well,
is the end of the character? Like, they were sensationalizing it that much?
Well, no, people were freaking out. You remember?
Yeah, but like, is the end of the character? Like, damn, I didn't think they were going that far with it.
Alright, maybe I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. Like, when I was talking about Pratt, like, I told you he was my only problem with the film. I loved every other piece of casting, but at the end of the day, I had to say, I don't know yet. Movie's not out.
Yeah.
And when the movie came out, he was one of my favorite voice choices for the character. He was literally one of my favorite in the film, and I had to fill out the apology form in triplicate. You know, Charles saw the character, and he saw something different. You remember when we were talking about the Mario movie, and we said Chris Pratt's gonna do a bad job, horrible casting, blah, blah, blah. The reason he didn't is because of the very thing that I said back in that podcast, and that he put a piece of himself into the character. It's acting. The trick to voice acting is, and the beautiful thing about it, is you want to sound like yourself. You want to put a piece of yourself into the character that sometimes even the writers didn't see when they were creating this character. Somebody could have a pilot in their head for years, you know, thinking, this is exactly how I want this character to be, blah, blah, blah. That's my Mario, or whoever their character is, right? And then you'll have somebody like Charles come in, make him sound like something no one's ever heard before, and made this character last 35 years and cemented him as the king of the industry. He has himself to, like, blame for that as well. Nintendo has himself to blame for that as well, which is why I'm very proud of Nintendo and happy of them that they literally created a job to give, like, just for him, and, like, thanks for his service to the company and for, like, this character that, quite frankly, he helped make.
And then also just like thinking of the board, it's like, he made us a lot more money.
Yeah,
you can't refute, like, in a business like this, and like also just kind of like Japanese businessmen in general, like, just like, I know like a lot of people like say like, okay, obviously like corporate suits like are soulless, like they're not gonna give a shit. Like, no, this man to them was a cash cow, and like we need to reward that. Because
granted, if they don't reward him for it, like, people like online would be like, "Oh, you dicks! You're just gonna like after 35 years and they throw him away."
It was a mix of like, you know, for one, he made us a lot of money. Number two, we can't just throw him on the wayside because we will literally get shit flung at our fucking windows if like we did this. So like,
it's how things change sometimes, you know. On top of that, like, even if it weren't for those reasons, it is the right thing to do.
Yeah, exactly.
So it'd be dumb if they didn't do it. Not just for their image, but also because it's the right thing to do.
I'd even like to think, like, you know, Miyamoto himself was the one, like, that maybe even, like, kind of suggested the idea. And, like, kind of, you know, he wanted him also to still be a part of this, too. Because I even like to think, even though, I don't know how much Japanese, like, Martinet knows, or even how much English Miyamoto knows. But it's like, they've worked together for so long. I don't know how closely, but at the very least, it's like okay, of course it was Miyamoto who had the vision for a lot of the games, but at the same time, Martinet was the one who brought it to life. And like, you don't like just throw that away when like they just decide like, okay, like I'm retired now. Like, you don't just do that. And I don't know, let's say how much influence Miyamoto has as far as like a lot of like the very like executive level sort of decisions that the company makes. He is the face of the company. I don't think anyone can dispute that at all. Not even like any of like the guys on the board. But I even like to believe that, like, you know, there is probably a lot of sway he has, and that there is also a lot of things that I'm sure he's done. I can't say this for sure, obviously, but I'm pretty sure there's plenty of things that Miyamoto has done that they've let him get away with because of the fact that, well, he's Miyamoto. Like, I'm not gonna fight that.
Yeah, like simplifying, like, the Mario RPGs and stuff.
Yeah,
like, because maybe he's had people in the company like fight him every step of the way.
Yeah,
for that.
And I know like people love to kind of also say that like Miyamoto obviously is like a legend, like he's legendary within the industry. Like you anybody within the gaming industry, like at least as far as a developer goes, you know who he is. And there has been plenty of times where like like as David said, like many people fought Miyamoto on several decisions that like for several games that I don't know, there is like a mix of like he definitely knows what he's talking about, of course. Like I don't think anyone's discounting that, but also like it's sometimes you are wrong. It's just how it is. And like and Miyamoto's also like not that I'm saying it's going to happen this year or whatever, but eventually we're also going to be seeing a video similar to Martinet's with Miyamoto as well in the future. Because, again, they're getting old. Like, there's got to be new blood now eventually. And, like, there is still plenty of, like, the old guard that are within, like, the company. Like, still making their games, of course. But, like, the day that Miyamoto, like, kind of steps down from... I don't even know what his position is now anymore at this point. But like basically he's just like I am Nintendo man.
I'm pretty sure he's the creative director.
Okay, he's the creative director
of the company, if I'm not mistaken. But those creative choices are just what matter above all else. I mean, I guess to conclude my thoughts about like the voice acting and stuff, the reason I'm saying what I was saying came full circle is because like if Martinet didn't put a piece of himself into the character, did something unique with it, I don't think Mario would have lasted as long. If, like, somebody just came in with an Italian stereotype, it wouldn't have done that, you know what I mean? That's why I was saying, you remember, like, again, we were talking about the Chris Pratt thing, like, however many podcasts ago before the Mario movie was out, like, a year ago, and we were saying that, Bugs Bunny wasn't an impression of somebody else.
Yeah.
Like, it was an original voice that was inspired by other things that he took, that Mel Blanc took and created his own thing, and now they're still making cartoons with the fucking character today. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen off of being just doing impressions. There's a difference between being a voice actor and being an impressionist. Which is why I think Charles Martinet, as seldomly heard about as he is, because he's mostly famous for just voicing one character, is a textbook phenomenal voice actor. Because what he did is what helped make Mario into what he is today. He didn't see a stereotype in him. He saw Mario and said, like, I could do something more with this. Mm-hmm. And that came from him. And that's the beautiful thing about voice acting. That's why I'm so passionate about it, and, the AI shit, and all that dumb crap or whatever, and all that, all that jazz, that's... I hated to cut you off about your point about Miyamoto, but, like, I just wanted to conclude my thoughts about, the voice acting stuff before, because what he did is just so staple of an amazing voice actor and an amazing actor. And I just, like, think some people aren't going to appreciate that because, like, Mario just doesn't say too much, or he only speaks in tiny phrases rather than in full sentences, but... the amount of what's in the phrase doesn't matter. It's how he portrayed it. It's how he executed it. And him putting a piece of himself into that is what made the Mario that you know and love today. And, that's the reason that we all have to come together to appreciate him in his upcoming retirement. And I think a lot of people probably know that deep down, but they're not always expressing it, I hate to babble on about it too much. I'm sorry. It's something I'm very passionate about because I do voice over myself now. I've been paid to do it for the first time recently, actually. Mm-hmm. And so to have that be around the same time that one of my idols is retiring as well, the guy who really helped create the character that taught me that I was a creative, like helped even guide me years later in my adult life and like my child development from playing a video game when I was 3 is so important. That's why that's just the difference between being a voice actor and being an impressionist, because doing that Italian accent with Mario doesn't last 30 years. You want to know what people do that voice now when they're doing Mario impressions? For meme videos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not the official voice of the character. It couldn't be. Trust me, it's just... there's a time and a place for everything, man.
Yeah.
And beyond even right place, right time, it really inspires me. Because he put a piece of himself into the character, and it just made me feel like I really can maybe one day, like, get paid to just extend myself into other creative works. That is a thing, And that this guy got to spend, like, pretty much most of his adult life just doing that for a character that's
he's
just
seen
so,
his
so
kids grow
important
up
to so many people. Yeah.
He's seen his kids grow up while he's been doing this for God knows how long. That's crazy to even think about.
Oh,
and like and the reason why I kind of even mentioned like the whole thing with Miyamoto too is that he's basically like him and Martinet really are like maybe not like a dream team so to say, but like at the very least it's like Nintendo's spirit like after Iwata is really like from those two. The spirit comes from the two of them. And the fact that like now like I mean he's technically not lost, he's not dead or anything, he hasn't passed away, but at the very least like he's now kind of left that role that, you know, sort of solidified him in the industry as well as even like the voice acting industry. He's left that role now and now he's doing something else. And for in the case of like Miyamoto's like because like obviously we know that Martinet's gotten a replacement. I have no idea if he's going to be a permanent replacement. Like they could also do the same fucking thing that they've done with Sonic and like maybe we'll just be none the wiser at this point. But I'm also like kind of just still thinking of the future too because like, you know, if Miyamoto like thing basically decides to retire as well, I'm honestly very curious who they're going to pick for his like replacement. It could be any of like the other guys that we know, maybe Aonuma, maybe a few others. But like the thing is that, you know, he's like the Stan Lee of like his company. Like I don't know if like that is like an inappropriate way to say it, but like, you know, we've always known about him. We've seen him talk. Like he's literally like come to talk to us. Like he's been like this literal like representative of the company like thing for God knows how long, and he's like the creative director. And like also in the case of like Martinet, like I don't know how often he ever came out for like public appearances and like, you know, gave like interviews and such like about like his time. I hope at the very least like this video that comes out about like, you know, his retirement like kind of sheds a little light on it because, you know, his life is very, very private, I'm sure. Like, because we practically know nothing about him other than the fact that, like, you know, oh, he was, you know, picked as the voice of Mario, and he's been the voice of Mario for 3 decades now at this point.
Yeah.
And like, not that like, oh, I'm like in that whole like I want to pry and like kind of see like what his like private life is like, but more so just kind of like I'd really love to hear that story, like just kind of like how he got picked up, and then after that just kind of like as the years went on, like all the projects that he's been a part of and everything, and like even just kind of like hearing about like his experiences like working with like Nintendo, and like kind of just like very curious of like his whole relationship with them.
Yeah,
because he is arguably one of the most important, or you know, he kind of left now at this point, but he was arguably one of the most important people of that company, and he wasn't even Japanese. He was he was an American who got picked up to do this voice, and he's just been with them ever since, because I think, like as David said, like he decided to put a piece of himself into the character, and it clearly shows that at the very least, like Nintendo not only agreed but even encouraged him to keep going with that, and like just like keep doing what you're doing essentially. Yeah. Like don't stop. Like we like this. Keep going. And it's also a shame that like a lot of the other previous like voices of Mario have basically been kind of like discarded and like not really shown like the proper respect. Maybe from the fans, sure, but not really so much from the company. And like they almost barely even acknowledged that TV show to begin with. And like I think it was a bit kind of like given some respect from the movie, but at least for like the majority of Mario's lifespan, they almost like either forgot about it or just decided like, no, this isn't Mario anymore, or like, you know, just
what else are they gonna do? I mean, like they're gonna play the theme song like in the video games.
I'm just saying though, like it's like what Martinet brought to the table was just so fucking good that they almost completely just forgot about what they worked with years before. Like it's just basically like not even, it's just so almost so far gone in the past now at this point.
They probably realized the same thing I said. They probably realized, like, if you just made him sound like, that Italian stereotype, that this isn't gonna last forever. Giving him a more unique approach is what makes it, like, nobody sounded like Mickey Mouse before Mickey Mouse. Nobody sounded like Bugs Bunny before Bugs Bunny, Like, it just goes to show how many of these directors get surprised, like, when actors, like take their character in a different direction and they're like, whoa, that's good. And it helps fulfill their vision even more, It's why voice actors are collaborators, you know what I mean, above all else. They pick you for a reason, and then if you're able to just, like, add even more to it, without being that dick who just starts to improvise too much or be like, oh, I think the character would do this in this situation, like, above, like, the people who are making the product. Yeah. You can wind up doing some phenomenal work. And
absolutely,
that's why Martinet is just such an amazing actor as well, despite voicing a character that, like you mentioned, barely says shit. It's really, really funny how that works, don't it? And to answer your earlier question, once Miyamoto's gone, more than likely he's gonna pass the reins of Mario to Koizumi. That's definitely what's gonna happen, because he kind of already has worked on a lot of Mario products by himself. I think he's kind of the guy who, like, especially for the Mario RPGs, has, like, kind of fought Miyamoto on the sense of, like, the game not having story or being oversimplified too much. Like, he's the guy who's like, let it have a story still. Let it do its stuff. He was the one who presented Mario Odyssey when the game was first revealed in, like, those Nintendo Directs back in the day. So, once he's gone, he's definitely going to pass the torch over to him, though. He's already, like, 55.
Also, now that I even think about it, like, being anyone who has fought Miyamoto, like, I mean, not, like, with actual fisticuffs, but, like, who's actually, like, fought him on the decision-making process about, like, certain games, is one hell of a ballsy move, like, no matter who you are. And it's, like, whether or not, like, you are, like, one below him, like, a position below him, like, right
he's
below
his protege. I'm reading it right now. He's literally Miyamoto's protege.
Yeah. But it's like, I think there is, like, a bit of status that goes with being the guy who has argued with him within the company. Because I'd even like to imagine, like, not that, like, they've gotten to, like, screaming matches or whatever. Maybe not. Who knows? Because, like, if there was ever a biography about Miyamoto that ever released, like, I'd read that shit in a heartbeat. But, like, as far as, like, at least, just kind of being known as the guy who, like, fought Miyamoto on a decision based on, like, like the game making process, like, Miyamoto of all people is what I'm saying. And like, you apparently were not fired, like, on the spot. I even like to think, like, Miyamoto even gave him some, like, props for that, because it's like, I've had people, like, literally just bend to my will off of my very presence coming into the room.
I'm surrounded by yes men 24/7.
And you are the first one who's ever even, like, dared to argue with me, let alone even, like, say anything against the decisions that I made. And I think even Miyamoto knows, like, he's not perfect, but he knows what the fuck he's doing. And I think definitely, I agree with you. Oh, what was his name again?
I forgot how to pronounce his first name. It's Yoshiaki Koizumi. Koizumi.
Like, Koizumi, like, I definitely is the next guy in line, and I think they're probably gonna leave it to Miyamoto to pick who to take over, like, after he's gone, or if he ever does, like, just retire. And, like, it's gonna be another sad day for the company too, because I mean, Martinet, like, in the farewell that he's getting, like, you can only imagine, like, how big the farewell that Miyamoto's gonna get, like, when he decides, like, okay, now it's time. I honestly think, though, he's not even gonna retire. He's gonna literally do what he's been doing until, like, he's dead, basically.
Maybe.
Like, he just loves this whole job, and he just loves, like, I think the company, or at least, like, what they bring to the consumers so much that, like, there's, like, he will probably feel like, I gotta be here until, like, the wheels just come off at this point. Like,
honestly, I'm pretty okay. Like, I'm gonna be a lot more okay with Miyamoto actually passing the reins over to, I assume, Koizumi, which I hope he does once Miyamoto retires, than Charles Martinet, like, passing the voice of Mario along. Not just because I do voice work myself as an adult now, but also because, like, I love when my games have a little bit of story. It helps make them more immersive. The Mario RPGs are some of my favorite video games ever made. Those games are immersive as shit. Here's a direct quote, and when I say this quote from Yoshiaki Koizumi, think about Miyamoto. If you think about games only as a thing that you interact with, you're missing the possibility of immersion. The inspirations that I tend to draw on for that all come from real life itself. Hiking on a mountain and seeing a cave and thinking about what's inside. It's that sense of wonder and excitement I want players to feel. That quote really tells me a little bit more about their working relationship than I would think. I know that sounds parasocial as fuck, but it does, because like the whole cave wonder thing, wondering what's inside, that has to do with a lot of Miyamoto's game design philosophy as well. Think back on Mario 64. Like, the whole point of that game is discovering and realizing there's more? What's in there? What's that?
The original Zelda too, no?
The Zeldas too. He's worked on a couple of Zelda games as well. He's worked on Link's Awakening, Ocarina, Majora's, all that shit. Back when he was like a little lower in the company. But then you think about the first part of that statement when he said, if you think about games only as a thing that you interact with, you're missing the possibility of immersion.
Yep.
Miyamoto has been a little more hands-on with getting, like, normies to enjoy video games and being like, look, I hit the jump button and it made him do a thing. Like, the simplicity of it. He wants them to be simple so anyone can have fun. And I think he's always seen Koizumi's, like, design philosophy of having more story-based things to be a little bit more geared towards the hardcore gamer, which he's okay with sometimes, but not normally, because he feels like that makes them a little too secluded, a little less inclusive. So it's funny, you think about the first half of that statement, that's very against Miyamoto's design philosophy, and then the second half, which kind of tells me a little bit about their working relationship, that they've probably butted heads a little bit from time to time, and Miyamoto just still has seniority over him, which is why, you know, a lot of the directions have gone the way that they have, even though Miyamoto himself has said that, like, you know, some of the newer Paper Mario games, especially Sticker Star, he literally said that game was boring when he got his hands on it, funny enough. Miyamoto himself said that shit. Kind of makes you think. I'll probably be more okay when that happens. I'll still be sad, but, like, you know.
Yeah, as will anybody. Like, even if you're not even, like, a hardcore gamer or whatever, if you're not even, like, the biggest Nintendo fanboy, you know who the fuck Miyamoto is. That's how fucking, like, how much weight his name carries in this industry.
Yeah,
and
one of the most important people in the industry ever, to be completely honest. I mean, he literally was the designer of probably the most important video game of all time that changed the fucking course of the industry when it was released.
Because, mind you, like, for all of you Zoomers out there, before the video game industry was even anywhere close to the juggernaut that it is today, with all its faults, of course, like, before that, we had Pong. We had dots and fucking pixels on the damn screen that basically said, "Oh, you're doing air hockey." Like, that's the world. Like, not that like I lived in personally, but like it wasn't really until like a little bit past Nintendo, like at least past the 64. But I'd almost like to think gaming was truly taken seriously when Halo 3 came out. And even before then, though, like, but before that point, and going back to Nintendo side of things, like, obviously we had Nintendo Power. We did have, like, outlets, like, back then, like, not online so much, like, maybe not like IGN and GameSpot, but, like, we did have outlets back in the day where, like, you know, the fucking Nintendo had a magazine. They had their own magazine.
I have a fuck ton of those in my closet.
And no other fucking company, I think, ever, even up to that point, had their own fucking magazine.
Yeah, there was no Sega Monthly.
Yeah.
Like, that wasn't a thing.
Like, if you wanted, like, the hottest Nintendo news, you get that fucking Nintendo Power for $14.99. I don't know how much it actually was, but, like, you know.
I think was it $12.99 a month?
Either way, like,
I don't remember.
You're paying to get that news, right? And, like, you know, I've never known another company that was so fucking, like, just high up there that they had their own fucking magazine.
At least not in the games industry, that's for sure.
Yeah,
the other ones were just the general ones, like Game Informer and shit.
And, you know, just over the years, even after, like, Halo 3's success, and even just, like, actually, like, people taking gaming seriously at that point, like, and if we're going to focus on Nintendo a bit, like, don't really know too much of their history, but they were in the news because everyone knows about the failure of the Wii U. So, like, even if, like, you know, it was so funny because, like, when the Wii came out, was a fucking, financially speaking, was a financial success for them. Shit was flying off the walls like you wouldn't believe around that time. And it was arguably one of the most highly sought after items around its year when it was released. Like I remember like my dad was still trying to find one for me for so long, and it wasn't until like I think months after its release that like we finally got one. And like it became like a staple of everyone's like shitty living room setup from like 2008 or whatever, and like everyone's house had a fucking Wii, and like a lot of them also didn't really use it as often as the others, you know, because like the Wii had like a pretty mixed bag when it came to the library. But like it really truly wasn't until like I think everyone already knew of like Nintendo's status up to that point, but I think just because of how insanely large and successful a lot of these companies are nowadays in the year 2023, Nintendo especially, like everyone like well, I mean, everyone already knew about them before, but it's just like at least the status they have now, it's just so cemented now. And now it's almost like, again, we've even argued that like while, you know, Sega and Microsoft have their retarded ass like console wars with each other, Nintendo's just sitting back.
Sega? You said Sega.
No, I said Sony, and I said Sony.
I heard Sega.
So, I mean, well, I meant Sony.
I could have been wrong. I don't know. Sorry. I didn't bust your balls.
While like Sony and Microsoft are having their shitty console wars, Nintendo's been sitting back for years, and they've been smart for so long now, and like they're in their own lane. They've always been, and you know they've also done some pretty shitty things in their own lane for the last like couple years, and I guess I want to wrap it up with like, you know, going back to Charles Martinet now, like, and just kind of in lieu of that, like, you know, it's you know, not really truly an end of an era, I like to say, like, you know, he's still around, like, it's gonna be a sadder day when he does pass, that's the thing, like, this is like just kind of passing the torch in a way.
I would imagine.
No, but like, you know what I mean though, like, yes. I know people are like sad about it, but it's just like, hey, he's still here, you know what I mean? He's not like, you know, just 10 feet under the ground, like he's literally like just still alive, and he's just, you know, just doing another job at this point. Yeah. And like I think his retirement should be something that's more celebrated than anything, because there has never been a person within this industry that could say, I've had the same job for 30 years like him. I think it really just goes to show, you know what I mean? And
yeah, like
he's just so like legendary now that like there will never be another character like Mario ever. And it's not even because of, let's say, like just the way he's been aesthetically designed. I mean, like his design is so genius, really. Like the very fact that like he's the most marketable fucking thing next to Mickey Mouse, but it's more so because of the fact that like Martinet, what he brought to the table for the character. And I think it even just goes to show you, it was like a stroke of maybe just lightning in a bottle / genius that like he decided to go that route that he did.
Yeah.
And like it paid dividends in the end too, because they never went back to anybody else. They literally just stuck with him for the last like 30 years. And like the only other character that I know like who's like, I guess sort of got that like sort of status is, or like a voice actor, is the voice actor for Master Chief. He's been the fucking voice of the character for God knows how long at this point. He's still the voice of the character too. And I think, again, it'll even just going to David's point, and I do agree, picking the right voice actor. Like, I mean, guys like the voice of Master Chief and even like the voice of Mario, like, don't really come around too often. And what I mean by that is, like, you know, they stick around. You know what I'm saying? And like, for at least those two, like, it just goes to show you that, like, you should never discount the chance of having something that fucking special. Like, it's just shit that, like, you know, just doesn't come around that often.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, guys like Martinet have to be celebrated because, again, like, what they brought is something that, like, you really don't see that often. And, at least in the case of Mario, something that's even as legendary as that. Just, like, that's my 2 cents, at least.
Yeah. It really just goes to show that good voice acting is all about sounding like yourself. And I know that when Martinet speaks, he doesn't sound like a wahoo, a wee.
Just a normal guy.
Yeah, this would also be the guy, if I can go back up here, this would also be the guy who voiced Pathornax in Skyrim, among many other things. He's done other video games. It's not just Mario.
I know, but it's
mostly
just like
Mario.
we don't really know him for that much, like for that kind of stuff, though.
Oh, it's so funny. Like, there's other video games where he sounded like demon characters. He was in. He did some background stuff in Jedi Knight 2. He was in Jet Set Radio Future. He was in a lot of stuff. It's just, mostly Mario. Yeah. Ooh, the Yellow Bird in Anastasia, the movie or the video game or something. I don't know. Yeah. Point is that
game.
I love feeling validated because Charles Martinet is the exact thing that validates me in what I've been taught by professional voice actors, like people who have been like, master classes in their fucking careers of saying, there's the true and beautiful truth that voice acting really is about sounding like yourself. If you're just trying to do impressions, that's different. That's like being like Frank Caliendo, the impressionist, and he does funny impressions. That's what he does, but it's a difference between doing impressions and being an actor.
But that's what I mean. Like, even for impressionists, it's like, that's a circus act. Yeah. In my opinion. It's like, I'm not saying...
there's nothing wrong with that.
I'm not discounting what they're doing, but it's just like, this shit's like for the carnival, in my opinion. Like, compared to, let's say, like, you actually, like, portraying a character. It's like, oh, look at me, I'm Russian, man.
Yeah. Like, everybody does Arnold.
Oh, you're like, oh yeah, I do Arnold too.
Arnold, yeah.
Oh, yeah, so I'm Sylvester Stallone, Adrian.
This isn't my
Which is funny. They can be funny. But it's just like...
yeah, of course.
But again, it's just like, I think it just goes without saying that, like, voice acting's just...
Yeah.
It sounds so terrible to say because I'm not an impressionist or voice actor, but it's just like I don't want to discount whatever these guys do.
Yeah,
but like I'm just saying, like voice actors is just,
it's just a different craft. Martinet wasn't doing an impression when he created Mario. He took a piece of himself and like that's what his type of like high pitched or Mario sounding voice would sound like, and it made the character so much more unique than even fucking Nintendo at the time thought he could be. And that's why Mario would not have been as successful, even though he was already successful in like 2D games without a voice. I mean, maybe he's not the best example of that, but he wouldn't have continued to be as successful if it wasn't for Martinet. The new age of video games came. We need voices for our characters now.
Yeah.
What the fuck is Mario gonna sound like? We don't know. We never thought about that. All they had to base on was Lou Albano's portrayal in the Super Show and whatnot. But even they didn't want him to sound like that in the games because there was like, a little too stereotypical. It's more cartoony than anything else. Like in the games, it's not going to fly. And so Martinet just gave them that. And it was just a piece of him. Mel Blanc gave us a piece of him. And that's what made Bugs Bunny still popular today. It's why they're still making movies about him today in Space Jam. That doesn't happen when you're just trying to sound like somebody else. And the reason I'm saying it so fucking much in this stupid podcast is because it's just beautiful. It's a job where you get to be yourself. Voice acting is about being your best self.
While being guided by a good director.
Exactly.
Like you gotta have good direction either way. Like that's how the whole formula works. It's like you have a great voice actor and also good direction. That's how you make something great.
Yeah. You could just do like, I do a discount Ray Romano, like this over cartoony, like 24 and the Venture Brothers. Like, I could do that, but it's like, there's a difference between just doing that and also acting in that voice, among other things. And it's just very important, and that's why I just want to say, thank you, Charles. That's what I'm going to end this with. It's taken me a while to process this, but like I mentioned earlier, Mario 64 is the media that taught me I was a creative, and it was the first time you ever, gave your light to the character and thus gave your light to the world, which is exactly how I want to give back to the world. That's exactly what I want to do with my life. It's what I've always wanted to do with my life since I was small. So to see the guy voicing my icon really retire around the same time that I start to get paid doing this shit, it's real bittersweet. That's why, when I woke up that morning, I didn't even really process it. Like, it's still taking me a while, really. I haven't even cried yet. But, like, the impact that game had on my young mind is impossible to put into words, and that is because of you. So waking up to that news, especially as someone who does that-ish myself now, is just nuts. So that's why I'm going to end this with just saying thank you, Charles. You served not only the company, really, you served the world well with this character, and that's not something that everybody at, the end of their careers has the privilege to say. And you work your ass off for that privilege, so thank you. That's it.
Here's the plugs.
Yeah,
Go to Charles Martinet's X account and give him all the... David just smashed his leg on this fucking stand-up desk.
It was my elbow.
It was your... Okay, it was his funny bone. Are you laughing, David?
Yes.
So guys, here you go. You can check us out on YouTube. You can check us out on Google Chrome Podcast, all the podcasts, Spotify, all them shits. Go, like I said, go to X and go to Martinet's X account and send him an X about how great he is. But
leave us good reviews as well. 5 stars.
And leave us some good reviews. Help us with the SEO. Send us an X as well. Tell us how shitty the both of us are. Well, fuck it, whatever. Whatever drives the damn algorithm. But also leave a like and comment and subscribe and all that good shit. But guys, this was today's episode. It was all about Martinet, all about him, and we love him. Maybe David a little more because, I'm not as attached, but we love him. We all at least can acknowledge what he brought to the industry. So, I guess maybe next episode, I don't know when that announcement will be. Maybe we'll talk about it. Maybe we'll talk about that as well. But,
it depends on what he says, which I hope it's not. I hope it's not anything bad. I hope he's just I'm just done at this phase of my life. I hope he wasn't forced to retire like some people are. That'll suck. Watch the whole thing just be a ploy, and Nintendo's just we don't need you anymore. But we don't want to look like assholes.
I think that would be really retarded, even from them. It's you're gonna tell the guy who voiced your character for 30 years we don't need you anymore? That's fucking stupid.
Yeah, they just do it secret I hope he's just at that hill, and he just wants to move on and just be doing other things.
I'd even love to see him in other shit too. I hope he does. I hope he does other projects.
He has filmography. Sake. He's done a lot of on-screen work.
I know, but after this now. I hope he does the whole Robert Downey Jr. route and it's I could do other shit now. Thank God. I don't have to be Iron Man or I don't have to be Mario anymore.
Thank the old gods, the new gods. I mean, yeah, he is almost 70. So I guess I kind of get it. He's 67, so, I hope he's just old. I hope that's it. But, bridges to cross when we come to them.
Yeah.
Hope you guys enjoyed. We'll see you next week. Like we said, leave us good reviews on the podcast, 5 stars. Follow youtube.com/Nintoonist, all that stuff. Blah, 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 blah. We'll see you next week. Don't hit your funny bones on the way out.
Wahoo.
Wee-hee.